Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be another review. So I will be reviewing this bag, which is my holy grail of bags, and I will be specifically talking about this Chanel Classic Flap, if you don't know, in terms of buying it vintage and buying it on the pre-loved market. So this bag, I bought it off of Tradesy. The person first listed it on Poshmark, and Tradesy was having a sale. I asked them if they would not mind listing it on Tradesy where they don't have to spend quite as much in commission. If you haven't watched my videos comparing the two, you can do so. But basically Poshmark takes 20% commission and Tradesy takes between 9 and 12, depending on if you use Tradesy money or not. That's a whole another story. But so the person was willing to go a little bit lower on Tradesy, and since they were having a sale, I got it for would have already been an excellent deal, but a really truly excellent deal. If you have been following me, you know that I like to get bags and everything really for about 90% off retail is usually my goal. Doesn't always happen, so sometimes it's closer to 80 or 85. This one I spent about 15% of retail on this. It is vintage, so sometimes vintage goes for a lot more with these bags, but it's not quite, it's in vintage shape, so it would have been retailed for less, but I'm doing it based on the current retail market. It was about 15%, which was a really truly incredible buy. If you don't know, Tradesy has sales every once in a while where they will not only lower their prices, but sometimes they do special sales where they decide they're going to take off $50 off anything over $100, probably not that much, $10 off anything over $100, or $25 off anything over $250, $50 off $500, and then as it goes up, usually the percentage goes up, so $200 off $1,000, right, or something like that. So it can be a really great place for those deals where you're really truly hoping for something special. And if you're like me and you sell on Tradesy, then you can just use your Tradesy money, which means you don't spend as much because you are getting then as much commission back from your previous sales as possible. So this bag was bought off of Tradesy. I've had it for a little while. I've used it for special occasions pretty much only because it is something that I find to be really special and not an everyday bag in this area. Really very few people would carry such a thing. So it's not something that I use every day, nor is it practical for my everyday needs. As a professor, I usually use a big tote bag, and then on the weekends I like to be hands-free. So even though this can obviously go on a shoulder or even crossbody, it's actually a little bigger than the crossbodies that I tend to use on the weekend. So I do save it for special occasions. Plus, I do want to keep it in the best shape possible. So I do always use it on special occasions, but I try to save it. So here is a closer look. Okay, so as you can see, one of the easiest things to spot is that the hardware color the gold has rubbed off as it has been used over the years. This bag is almost as old as I am, so I think for that it is in really incredible shape. It is a turn lock, so just turn it right there, which is why it is so discolored. You can sort of see, maybe it's on this side better, you can see as it gets closer the discoloration that happens just based on human oils and things. Here is the interior. Sorry, I gotta take out. With these kind of bags, you do want to keep them stuffed so that they keep their shape well, but you do not want to overstuff them because they will break. The leather doesn't last as well that way. So I finally figured out the exact right amount of stuffing for this bag. It's got another pocket here too. So it is actually very roomy inside for the size of it and really wonderful. I very rarely put things in the zipper pocket back here because it's just not necessary for what I carry, but I could do that as well. So that's the bag, and then I took out the chain all the way too. So one of the things I love best about this chain is you can wear it two different ways. So I can wear it like this. I don't know if you can see that, but like that, or I can wear it on my shoulder like this, or I can tuck both inside, and let me do that quickly, and use it like a clutch. So it can really be worn in a lot of a lot of different ways. This is the classic 2.55 single flap, and it is exactly what I wanted. I really wanted the classic. The reissue is beautiful, but it's not so much my style, so I did want something vintage and classic, and I'm really happy with it. I don't know if it was ever super quilted. It is so well, the light, sorry, gets a little bit of funny reflections on it, but it is so well done, and there are so few wrinkles for it being so old that I don't ever think it was super duper puffy. Yes, it has definitely lost some. It is really flat, but it's still really beautiful, and the stitching, of course, still gives it that quilted effect. The biggest issues of wear are on the corners. So you can see, I think this is the biggest one in the front. And I sometimes try to make sure that it stays nice and clean, but it's not noticeable enough. It does get rubbed from the chain to there. That's not noticeable enough for me to not wear it. It is such a classic, and it is vintage, and I think that the wear kind of tells a little bit of a story, makes it even more special. So that doesn't bother me, but for some people that may bother them, and that's something to be really aware of. It was more important to me that it had the nice gold and it had the nice look, and there wasn't any like big tears or stains. It helps that it's black. The beige ones are hard to find without any stains. The corners, since it is black, I don't notice it a ton, and so it doesn't really bother me a lot. But it does also have the typical chain, right? All the things that make it the classic. So it's a great shape. It's a great size. For its age, it is in outstanding condition, and honestly, I think that they made them better back then. So I really do think that the craftsmanship that went into this is a testament. You can see how great it was because of how old it is and how well it has held up. And obviously the previous seller really took good care of it as well. I should probably keep it in a dust bag. I like to keep it sort of on display in my closet, so I don't tend to do that. But I don't overstuff it, and even though sometimes it comes in the box in the dust bag sideways, that is not how you should store it. You should store it up like this so that it maintains its shape and doesn't start to cave in. You can see it maintains its shape very well, this bag. It also, I don't know if I showed you, it also has the pocket on the back. So this is lambskin, black lambskin leather with gold hardware, and that tends to be what, I'm not sure actually when caviar came about, but this is from the 80s, so that was not really an option, I don't believe. I think pretty much everything was done in lambskin in order to keep it really classic. I don't think that there are very many bags that are as classic and as much of a statement, and are bags that you can use throughout your life. I feel like there are some beautiful classic bags that are more appropriate for someone that's younger or more appropriate for someone that's older, but this one I really believe you could carry at any stage of your life. It will always be classic and always be beautiful. So if you're going to invest in a bag, this might be a really good option. I could very easily sell this bag for much more than I paid for it, even in the condition that it's in, which you can't say for everything, just because it is a classic and it could even be a collector's item. So an investment bag is really wonderful. I do think that this one was a particularly great buy and something I really love. I would consider replacing it if I found one at a great price point that's in a little bit of a better shape, just because it would then last even longer for me. This is a lifetime buy. I will always at least want a flap, and whether or not I buy newer ones to keep them in better condition, that may happen, but I will always like this. And I personally like this size. I know a lot of people really like the jumbo. I find that this bag gets heavy, so I can't even quite imagine. And just from holding in the stores, the jumbos, that's too big of a bag for me, especially because I don't use them as everyday bags. I use them as special occasion bags. I could potentially see myself getting a mini, but I don't think that I would get anything else besides the classic, which is now, I believe, the same as the medium large. So this is the bag. Check out my videos on buying luxury goods, tips and tricks to do that. I'll link those below, as well as a comparison of the different sites that I use to buy a bunch of things. But I do like Tradesy also because they did authenticate it, so I feel really safe and secure about that purchase, and that might be something that you are interested in doing. It is getting a little bit of a shape here, but I think that it's supposed to do that a little bit. So that's what that is. So that's it. Let me know if you have other questions about it, and I'm happy to to give an update based on how much wear I use, and we'll see how it looks later on. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to see future videos.